Coming up on Mountain News at 6, the Lieutenant Governor pays a visit to Pike County for the first time since the Valentine's Day weekend flooding. And a 14-year-old boy is killed in an ATV crash in Lawrence County.
And we've got a lot going on weather-wise this week. First alert weather days have been declared. We'll tell you when coming up.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
State and local officials gathered in the region today to visit businesses, homes, and other facilities impacted by the recent floodwaters. WYMT's Buddy Forbes was there as Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman hit the pavement in Pike County.
From surveying the damage to businesses in the city of Coal Run to speaking to flood survivors near the Virgie community, Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman visited Pike County Monday for an update on the area's flood recovery efforts.
It doesn't matter how many times you see it, it's always devastating, and you can't help but feel for the families and the local business owners and the schools and the folks that are now in this cleanup mode.
Folks like Lavinia Hamilton and Belva Collins, whose neighborhood just off of Penny Highway was ravaged by raging waters.
There it goes. There's nothing you can do. You can't stop it. You can't catch it. You know, it's gone.
Hamilton has lived on Bobby Lane her entire life and says flooding has never reached as high as it did that day, filling her home with several feet of water.
I had to rent a house and me having a house. So it's just so hard. When I look out there, that's my whole life out there. Everything that we work our lives for is just sitting out there.
She says being visited by the Lieutenant Governor was a small ray of light, hoping it means recovery can be a reality for her and her neighbors.
We're talking to FEMA right now, yeah. They act like they're going to help me, yeah, but, you know, I got to wait and see.
Collins says she has lived in her home for more than 4 decades, and after seeing the last 2 floods, she believes removing the old train bridge could keep her community from flooding again. But for now, she is just hoping to get her property cleaned up with helping hands pouring in from all around.
We just appreciate all the help we're getting and can always use more to rebuild and get everything back together.
And with boots on the ground from FEMA and the Small Business Administration, Coleman says that help is coming, saying the state is also working on more innovative plans like the higher ground communities to help people keep their heads above.
You know, we'll be looking at ways that we can help and try to prevent something like this from happening again.
In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
The Lieutenant Governor visited some places that were not on Governor Andy Beshear's original stops last week. She says they want to see as much of the devastation as they can to get a more clear picture of the needs and how the state can help. Pike County Judge Executive Ray Jones says it will take years to recover from this flood, and he is concerned some businesses might not reopen.
This is the worst flood event that I can recall. And I do remember the 77 flood. Pikeville was destroyed, you know, with a lot of damage in downtown Pikeville, but that was all prevented by the cut through.
Yeah.
But this is the largest river flood event that we've had probably since 1957 or 1963.
And that's saying a lot. Jones says Governor Beshear told him he believes Pike County was the hardest hit county in the state. You can hear more from the Judge Executive tonight at 7 on Issues and Answers. More FEMA disaster recovery centers are now open in the mountains. In Knott County, folks can go to the Sportsplex, while a new center has opened up at the Floyd County Board of Education site in Eastern. And in Martin County, people can go to the library in Inez. We have much more about all of this at WYMT.com. Congressman Hal Rogers also announced on social media that Johnson and Estill counties were added to the state's major disaster declaration. President Donald Trump has now approved the expedited major disaster declaration for 14 counties in all in Kentucky. We are now a little more than 2 weeks removed from the flood, and folks are still doing what they can to rebuild and try and bounce back. WYMT's Amelia Lee spoke with the owners of the Miners Mall in the Airport Gardens community of Perry County about their road to recovery.
At its peak, floodwater reached 25 inches inside the Miners Mall, and at the lowest, 21 inches. destroying 80 to 90% of the products inside.
When we realized the very next morning how high the water had got in this place, it was like we was shocked. I kid you not, shocked and amazed.
Latricia and Joseph Harris own the shop, putting love and care into building and running it.
We put 12 years of our life into this place, and it was devastating. I'm not gonna lie.
I was heartbroken. I really was.
They got to work right away, clearing the muck and the mud from the sidewalks after the flood, and now assuring customers they'll be back soon.
We will bounce back, without a doubt. It may take us a little bit of time. This is a setback. This is not a closure, I promise you. A minor setback for a major recovery is exactly what this is.
The Miners Mall is home to multiple vendors. For Joseph and Latricia, it's now a waiting game to see what comes next and where the vendors will go in the meantime.
It is what it is. I mean, you can't expect them to just go on hold for us because we've got a minor setback to a major recovery. You cannot expect them to just wait on us because we've got some serious stuff to do.
Starting from scratch alongside other folks throughout the region.
The people of Southeast Kentucky are resilient, okay? They have a drive that is unlike anywhere else.
Working together to rebuild. In Perry County, Amelia Lee, WYMT, Mountain News.
Some other local and small business owners in eastern Kentucky affected have been able to at least partially reopen. Hot Mess Express posted on Facebook they began some sales last Friday.
Temperatures today were in the 40s and 50s, even low 60s. Take a look at the numbers for today. They played like this. 55 was the high in Hazard. 53 is where we should be for this time of year. Jackson was on par. Same story in Prestonsburg. 40s near Manchester as well as Irvine. 57 in London. 59 Somerset. 49 in Monticello. And right now we're seeing temperatures still in the 40s and 50s, low 50s towards Pikeville, 50 in Whitesburg, 50 in Louisa, as well as Moorhead, Irvine, 57, Somerset, 57, Monticello is at 57 as well. High pressure, our nice fair weather friend, is in control as we go throughout the remainder of your Monday. Our next weather maker is off to the south and west. It's in the form of a low pressure system. It's going to push through as we go throughout the night on Tuesday going into Wednesday, which will increase the rain chances, and it's going to cause that wind to pick up, which is why we have a wind advisory in effect for portions of the WYMT viewing area. Overnight lows will be in the upper 30s and low 40s. We'll see the clouds increase as we go throughout the day on Tuesday. Again, wind advisory in effect for Rockcastle, Laurel, Whitley, Campbell, McCreary, Pulaski, and Wayne County, Kentucky. This starts tomorrow afternoon and goes until midnight Wednesday. We'll plot everything out coming up in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thanks. Friends and family are grieving after a 14-year-old lost his life following an ATV crash. It happened Friday night in Lawrence County. Eric Harper's mother says he was riding his ATV alone along Brushy Creek Road near their home in Blaine when he lost control. She says somebody driving by saw a crash had occurred and told a neighbor to call 911. Friends of Eric say he was well liked by everyone who knew him and had a big heart. They say riding his ATV was his favorite thing to do.
He's a good kid, and it just breaks my heart, and like for his loved ones and like his family and friends, it just kind of hurts me to see them all like this.
Eric's mother says he was not wearing his helmet and he had just been home minutes earlier. Visitation is scheduled for this evening from 6 till 9 at Wilson Funeral Home. The funeral will be there at noon tomorrow. An Eastern Kentucky man was sentenced to 35 years in prison for the production of child pornography. According to Dustin Newsom's plea agreement, in August 2023, the parent of a minor called police and reported that she found vape cartridges in her child's room. The victim said they received the cartridges and a cell phone from Newsom. Police later discovered Newsom had devices in his home containing sexually explicit media of at least 4 minors. 2 people are facing charges after police found drugs during a traffic stop in Pulaski County. It started when police noticed a vehicle committing traffic violations in the Shopville area yesterday. When police asked David Derek Lewis and Christina Allred to get out of the car, they found a host of drugs, including fentanyl, inside. Both are facing several drug charges. Additionally, Lewis was charged with committing multiple traffic offenses. The head of Kroger has abruptly resigned. CEO Rodney McMullen got his start working at a Lexington Kroger in 1978. He resigned after an investigation into his personal conduct. Kroger said it found McMullen's behavior inconsistent with the company's ethics politics, and that his stepping down is not related to the company's financial performance, operations, or reporting. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports McMullen is a Pineville native. Folks in Knox County are mourning the loss of a former judge. Lewis Black Hopper died on Saturday. In 1984, Hopper was elected circuit judge in Knox and Laurel counties and served until his retirement in 2005. Here are the funeral arrangements for Hopper. Visitation is from 5 until 9 p.m. Friday and from 10 a.m. until noon at the Hopper Funeral Home in Barberville. The funeral will follow the visitation period on Saturday. Judge Hopper was 79 years old.
All right, as we go to the next 24 hours, wind is lit up orange on your first alert as a wind advisory takes place starting tomorrow. We'll plot everything out hour by hour coming up in the first alert forecast in a few minutes.
And a bill that would establish an Office of Government Efficiency here in Kentucky is heading to the full Senate.